Strange noise from my laptop. This is one of my paranormal, I think, experiences I've had over the past few years, and I'm wondering if anyone has anything similar happen to them. So, it was a normal Saturday afternoon, and I was on my bed with my laptop, reading people's paranormal experiences on another site. I was browsing the posts and came across one mentioning something I hadn't heard before, about black-eyed kids. If you haven't heard of them, I'd recommend checking them out, as some stories out there are pretty creepy, and fortunately, I have not bumped into one. Anyway, since this phenomenon was new to me, I decided to search Google for black-eyed kids and see what information I could pick, and gain a quick understanding of what they are. I clicked on a few links, did a bit of reading, and finally, I clicked on the link to the Wikipedia page. At the time, the TV wasn't on or anything like that, and I was already feeling a bit tense reading through the stories. So I opened the Wikipedia page, read a couple of paragraphs, when all of a sudden, my laptop makes this horrible noise. I can only describe it as something you might see or hear in a horror movie. It was like a quiet scream, if you know what I mean, and it lasted about 4 seconds. I slammed my laptop screen down and just sat there with my heart pounding, trying to remember if any other pages was open that could have had some ad on it that could make the noise. Finally, after a couple hours, I pluck up the courage to open my laptop up once again, and no, the only page open is the Wikipedia page. I quickly close it, hoping it doesn't happen again, and then I just sit there wondering what the hell made that noise. As I sat there, I glanced at the bottom right corner of the desktop, and to my horror, the laptop is muted. So if there had been an ad or something playing, it wouldn't have made any sound anyways. After a couple of days, I decided to revisit the wiki page to see if it did it again, and it didn't. I have no reasonable explanation for this, and I would like to know if anything similar has happened to anyone else while researching BEKs or the paranormal in general. Thanks for reading. Strange girl appeared while watching YouTube. I just started using Reddit, as I have a big interest in the paranormal, and so I thought, why not share my own story? Okay, so I was at a friend's house a few months back, which we do think is haunted, as strange things have happened there. I will go into these other experiences if anyone would like to know what they were. However, I'm here to share the one that baffles me the most. We had his laptop connected to his big TV, and we were watching a video on the paranormal. We started to play one video after another, and about 2 seconds in, an image of a girl with a massive grin popped up for about a second. I sat up and turned to my friend and asked him if he had seen it. Luckily for him, he was answering a text on his phone, so he had no idea what I was on about. So, I said, "Watch this," and I started the video again. However, to my surprise, this time the image did not appear. This was when I got a little concerned. I started the video again a few times more to make sure that something wasn't missing. How can this happen? It didn't appear again. I remember the picture clearly. She had long brown hair and was wearing a green top, and her grin was unsettling. If anyone has had a similar experience or knows anything about what I witnessed, please comment. I would love to know that I'm not going mental. Demon in my cell phone. This incident took place in Los Angeles, California. I had purchased a new cell phone in late 2007, And I'd say a few months afterwards, in the beginning of 2008, was when I believe a demon briefly took up residence in it. I had just returned from running a few errands, and I set my phone down on my dresser in my room. I turned on the TV and began watching it, when something distracted me for a moment. A small, black cloud-looking substance, small enough to fit in the palm of a hand, hovered into my room, over to my phone, then disappeared into it. I didn't pay any attention to it, thinking it was a glare or something, so I went on with my day. Well, from that moment on, I started having problems with my phone. I had a hard time reaching people I wanted to reach, as I would get a lot of static when trying to call out. Where I would often get calls from family, friends, and acquaintances, all of those calls had stopped. No one would call me, and I never got any missed calls messages on my phone. This went on for about 1 to 2 weeks. Then, one day, out of the blue, my sister called me. When I answered, she said, "Maya?" I said yes. She seemed concerned, but she didn't say anything. She just went on with a normal conversation. Then, other people started calling and telling me that they had been trying to call me for the last several days, but just couldn't get through. I blew it off, blaming it on bad reception. But then, I got a call from an editor I had been working with on a project. She too complained about not getting through, but then she said something that got my attention. She said one of those times she tried to call me, an ugly, demonic-sounding voice answered, saying, "Maya's not here today." She said it kept saying it over and over again, until the phone went dead. I replied, "What?" Still, I didn't believe it until it hit me. I thought back to the day that I saw a silver of a black smoke-looking thing zip into my phone. I put 2 and 2 together and knew that it must have been a demon. I guess I finally moved on, and that's what allowed my calls to break through. To this day, I wonder what it was saying to people when they try and call. It must have been scaring them off. My friends and family never came out about it. Computer ghost. It was sometime around June in 2005, when I was in grade 6. I was sitting at home on this very same computer, playing dress up on an online dress up doll site. It was normal temperature that day, and all of a sudden, next to my right shoulder blade, it turned icy cold. Everywhere else was warm. I reached out into the cold area, but my hand was stopped by something solid. Petrified, I stayed sitting in my chair. The next thing I knew, the mouse was moving around on the mouse pad. It was dragging the items of clothing onto the doll, and then logged itself into the chat room as Kit_Cat221. I remember that well. The chat room came up on the screen, and the ghost began typing frantically to all the people in the chat room. I screamed and ran out of the room. A few days later, I walked into the lounge room to find the computer on. It was on a search engine, displaying pictures of cartoons. I walked closer to the computer, and the computer turned off. The next day, my mom got onto the computer to find a picture of me with a cartoon cemetery and Grim Reaper standing next to me. No one had used the computer since that morning, and no one had changed the background. I became scared, and one day I freaked myself out so badly that I refused to go to school. I was waiting at the bus stop, and became very nervous and panicky. I walked back into my front yard and turned around just in time to see a four-wheel drive crash into the power pole I was leaning on at the bus stop, in the same spot I was standing. If I had stayed, I would have been very badly injured. Maybe the picture on my computer was telling me something. I became very shaken after that and spent the rest of the day in my bedroom. At about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, my room turned icy cold. I went to run to the door, but someone stopped me, firmly grabbing my shoulder. I looked, but no one was there. Then a transparent light in the shape of a girl my age appeared in front of me. Then I heard a whisper saying, "Goodbye." The light then disappeared, and the temperature returned to normal. I haven't seen the ghost since.